In August 2011, the famous China Olympic mascot panda, Mao Mao, gave birth to a beautiful giant panda cub at the Panda Research Center in Chengdu, China. This cub would soon be adopted by world-renowned musician Yanni, an honor that has been reserved for countries only rather than individuals or personalities.
I accept this honor with great humility and a profound sense of responsibility. After careful consideration, I have decided to name the panda Santorini. This panda is a beautiful panda of peace.
Santorini has brought Yanni together with the world's largest conservation organization, World Wildlife Fund, in a passionate effort to save the giant panda.
WWF's mission is to conserve wildlife around the world and build a future in which people live in harmony with nature. And what we've realized over time is our work is essentially about storytelling. When you come face to face with a panda, you can't help but fall in love. And so when one of the most famous performers in the world adopted Santorini and fell in love with this animal, which you'd expect, we saw this amazing opportunity to tell the story of pandas.
Oh man, this is the gift of a lifetime.
It takes your heart away. They're so adorable. They're so beautiful. It's just, you only want to see pandas in photos and videos, but when they brought it out, it doesn't even look real. It was just a surreal experience. Beautiful, beautiful, very touching.
The partnership between WWF and Yanni is a natural one, and it's a platform to tell the story to millions of people around the world and to combine that story with music that moves the soul.
I'm so happy I got to adopt a panda yesterday.
There are only 1,600 pandas left in the wild. It's the rarest bear in the world. There is hope to save these creatures. So we're joining with Yanni to appeal to you for your help.
If you would like to join Yanni and the World Wildlife Fund in their effort to protect the giant panda, please visit worldwildlife.org/Yanni, where you can sign up to receive your custom Yanni Panda adoption kit.
Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm Lauren Sanchez. Okay, he has been called a force of nature, and I can see why, having sold over 20 million albums and entertaining millions more at his groundbreaking concert events. We're getting up close and personal with the one and only Yanni, and we're going to get to your questions in just a minute. All you have to do is go to yanni.com to submit them. But I've got another one of my own. We just saw a video of you adopting a panda from China. Okay, now tell me how this happened, because this only normally happens. Countries can adopt pandas, not celebrities, personalities.
Yeah, that's touched my heart. That just came out of the blue. It's a sign of respect, I think, of the Chinese people for doing that. Mm-hmm. And it really, really touched my heart. They also asked me to pick the gender and name the baby panda.
And the gender?
The gender, of course, I picked a female.
Shocker.
And I decided to call her Santorini.
What does that mean?
Santorini means saint. Irini in Greek means peace, so it's Saint Peace. And also Santorini is one of the most beautiful islands in the world. It's the most beautiful island in Greece. And I thought it was very appropriate for this, my baby panda. And I've said this before, but I gotta tell you something, just like every proud father.
Look at you, I mean, it's like you're like beaming right now.
It's
you're
my
beaming.
baby. I think my panda is the most beautiful panda in the whole world.
Of course she is, Santorini. But why did they want you to adopt a panda? Why did you want to adopt a panda? What does it represent?
I think it's a sign of respect of the Chinese people towards a nation, as you said, normally. Right. But an individual, I think I'm the only one that actually has had that happen to him. I took it it's a great honor. In fact, right now, the World Wildlife Fund decided to be involved with us, and they had been involved in preserving
Right.
the panda for many, many years before I came along, and they built quite a lot of facilities. I don't know if people realize that, but there's about 1,600 of them in the wild, and about 1,000 of them are in captivity, and they try to breed them and try to preserve the species. And it's in an extremely dangerous zone. It's below 3,000 altogether. And it's to me, you know, it's an amazing. It's the symbol of China. It's a symbol of the World Wildlife Fund.
And this is one of the pandas that the World Life Fund is. You can buy them, and it goes to help the pandas and everything. So I'm going to ask you. I don't know if you know this. If you will sign one. And then we're going to give it away to one of the fans watching now.
I'd love
and
to.
that's what dropped, by the way, was this pen. So I just want to let you know. So what Yanni's going to do is sign it, and then all you have to do is go to the web at yanni.com, and we're going to give it away.
Which
to
way
a
do you want me
special
to
fan.
face? This way so you can see it?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. It's kind of
I'll
difficult.
hold it for you.
There it is.
See,
you
the
go.
only signed panda. I love that. Okay, who's going to take it? I'll just put it right over here.
I also wanted to say that I would like to try the best I can for the rest of my life. I will try to make Santorini the most famous panda in the world, not because of an ego trip, but because it will become a symbol, and it will help the World Wildlife Fund, because they care about the pandas as much as they care about every other animal in the world, and they also care about the entire globe.
It's everything.
It's everything.
And that's actually a question right here. May in China says, that is wonderful that China asked you to adopt a panda. I am from China, and it is our greatest gift as a nation that we could give.
Exactly.
Where do you keep it?
You don't.
See, that's a good.
You
Is
don't do.
a panda in the backyard? I'm just curious.
I was going to make a joke. The panda is in the backyard and the raccoons are nervous.
There are no more raccoons.
No, you do not get to keep it. It's there, again, the species in it is in extreme danger. The sample size, again, is only about 2,600 altogether, wild, and they're trying to maintain it and try to breed them correctly so they can survive. It's
Now,
extremely important.
Will you go back to China and visit Santorini?
Of course. I love China. When we were there last time, you asked me about a venue that was phenomenal, Guangzhou. Guangzhou, most people in America may not know what Guangzhou is, but it is the LED capital of the world. Like 80% of the LEDs manufactured on the whole planet come from Guangzhou. So we played there at the Olympic Stadium for the first time again. They never have concerts there. We were the first concert, and it was this amazing place with the lights. You're looking at screens, video screens, the size of 4 stories, 8 of them.
This is at the Olympics.
It was like, not at the Olympics, it was just last 6 months ago when they also offered me the Panda. And they asked me to perform in Beijing during their National Day, which is our 4th of July.
It's such a huge honor.
Yeah, I love the Chinese. They have been great to me. And, you know, they never forgot that 15 years ago when I performed in the Forbidden City, I've written that song for them called Nightingale. And I've had a connection with these people. And they're obviously, China is such an enormous country. You can't just, you know, they vary from city to city. There's so much to be learned and done. And, of course, we love Chinese food.
Yes.
But they're honorable. They're very strong. They're not, we tend to lump the world as one. And you can't blame people who haven't had the opportunity.
Who haven't traveled.
Yeah, well, they have
You see it
a lot of
differently
them.
once you travel.
That's correct. But it also, they don't have the opportunity. They don't have the luxury that I have. That my career afforded me this luxury to come in contact with all these people. So you walk into a country and, you know, I approach the culture with an open mind. I ask them what they are. What makes them happy? How do they eat? What do they do to have a good time? All
You
that.
don't just, to me, it seems like you don't just go there, play, and leave. You want to know about the people. You don't just you're not there just to make a stop and go.
If you do a stop and go, then I would never be able to write the music I write. You have to go. In fact, a lot of times, late 90s, beginning of 2000, I took some time out and I went back to a lot of the countries I'd been through while I was doing the concerts and stayed for weeks at a time, a month at a time, long enough to where you really get the true culture. You get the idea, and again, just not to belabor the Chinese effect, is that the people there are, and I think it's important that people in America understand that, they're very proud of their country. They work very hard. They're hard workers. Mm-hmm. They're extremely intelligent. Their women are very powerful, and their men are very powerful. And they're extremely intelligent. They want to succeed. They want to become a force. And the sense that I got from being in China is that China is not a threat. It's a place that tries to put its arms around the world and say, calm down, everybody. Just cool it. That's at least what I got.
That's a perspective you get when you stop and stay for a while and don't just look at it through what we see on television. Right? Okay, and May from China, I was at your concert in Beijing, and you performed the nation's song and a music video that is all over China. What inspired you to do this?
It was another, again, I had been in Beijing to do a press conference to announce my tour in China in different cities we were going to play. And unbeknownst to me, they brought a children's choir and they sang a song which is not their national anthem, but it's become kind of like their national anthem. Mm-hmm. And these kids stole my heart. And the song is beautiful. And so I decided, as a surprise, since I was going to be playing in Beijing on their 4th of July, if you will, to do a rendition of that with the orchestra and bring the kids on stage and do it for the whole audience. There were people crying. It was just, even I was getting ready to cry. I was getting goosebumps. And it was just an awesome experience.
And you didn't have to do that. I mean, you just saw these children. You're like, you're going to perform with me.
They touched me so much, and I loved the song so much, and it was the right moment in time, and I wanted to give a gift to the Chinese people. And I thought it was very appropriate. We went there. I remember we had to go to China a few days early because we were still, I remember, Hungary, Bucharest, Budapest. We were,
all over the place.
Yeah. We went to Turkey. We were in South Korea, Singapore, Thailand. I mean, even in Thailand, we were there during the floods. I was filling sandbags there with the governor of Bangkok, trying to help everybody. Yeah, it's like you get involved.
Okay, question number 2, Joy, USA. We finally got someone from the US. I love it. Okay, this is a good one. I actually really like this question because this is something I would ask. What's on your bucket list? I.e., this is an American question right here.
Of course.
What would you like to do that you haven't done in your life? And when was the last time you took a vacation? It was a good question, Joy. I like it.
I'll take the second one. To me, a lot of times when I'm on tour is a vacation, especially...
Five concerts a week is a vacation?
That's in the United States.
Oh,
only.
okay.
When you're going from different countries around the world, you always have 2 or 3 days off in between each concert because it takes that long for the equipment to reach the new destination. So you kind of get a vacation. I don't get enough vacation time, that's for sure. What was the first part of the question again?
Oh, I remember, Joy. Don't you worry. What is on your bucket list? If there's one thing that you could do that you have never done before, what would it be? You would be safe doing it. There you go.
Safe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Either safety, sometimes safety and...
It doesn't mix.
It's very close, boredom, and boredom is very close to death.
I agree.
You have to be taking chances in life, and I do take chances in life. I cannot tell you. I have so many things I want to do in my life. I just want to live. I want to live an interesting life. I don't necessarily want to be in fear and get scared. But if you're not doing something that's making you nervous, that means it's something that's within your grasp. That means you're not growing. You have to, I've learned it since I was a little kid. I'm not sure I can get that done. Well, that's a good thing. That means it's not your grasp.
Okay, so what are you doing right now that's making you a little nervous in your life?
Why would I want to say that to everybody in the world?
Because you're talking to him right now, so I want to know what it is.
Just because somebody asks a question doesn't mean I have to answer it.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
It's there's so many things we're getting ready to do. Just the U.S. tour alone.
Just you, though. I'm asking about you.
Oh, what am I doing right now in my life that
makes you a little nervous?
Oh, I can't speak about that.
Okay, see?
I was right in the first place.
That's good. I'll write music about it. Okay, we're going to go to question number 3. I'm going to save you on this one.
Music.
I might get back to it, though. I might have to come back to that one. Don't worry. Okay, Radio Voyage listener, Samaya from Turkey asks, Dear Yanni, millions of people listen to your work with love and compassion. I am one of those people. Your works are amazing. Even though it is hard for me to describe my admiration, first of all, there are melodies in your compositions that flow into the deepest parts of our hearts like April showers. Of course, the source of these magnificent melodies is your heart and soul. I can imagine the depth of your heart and soul when I listen to your music. I can see your beautiful heart and understand that you harbor love as colorful as a rainbow, and I find myself within an amazing dream while listening to your work. I see the depth of your soul and your colorful personality in your music, and each time I do, I am in more awe of you. Wow. The only thing I want to know is, here's the question, how did you come to have such a beautiful heart and a deep soul? To what do you owe the beauty of your heart and the depth of your soul?
Wow. First of all, thank you so much. What a great thing to say.
Samaya,
all these things, Samaya. That's pretty awesome. And I loved when we played Istanbul. Istanbul is the only city that half of it is in the west and half of it is in the east. So we played under the Bosporus Bridge, and it was just phenomenal.
Magical,
concert.
I'm sure.
It was phenomenal. And you have to understand, I am a Greek, and this is Turkey.
Yes.
And there used to be friction between the two countries. There still might be a little bit, but I think it's mostly by the governments. The normal folks, they deal with each other in a very good way. I'm very proud of both cultures. And for me to be allowed to go to this country and they accept me like I'm their adopted son, is another win again to me. It's just like, I love when we just break these barriers and stop hating each other or fighting, or it goes on for thousands and thousands of years. So anyway, it was just, I will never forget the concert in Istanbul. It was pretty phenomenal.
Why do you think when you perform that your music, which we've talked about, inspires, but also kind of calms people, brings them together, makes them feel at peace?
Well, that's difficult to put your finger in, but it has to, again, it has to do with me, the way I perceive life. There's resolution in my music. I tend to avoid writing music just based on initial reactions to situations. I've said this before. I'm angry, so I'm going to write an angry song. Or I am sad, so I'm just going to go write a sad song. I'd rather go through the situation, learn, and then write about the learning that took place. That's not so easy to do, the emotions get very complicated. How do you control your anger? Because I feel pain, I feel anger, I feel love, I feel passion, I feel everything that every other human being feels. And I try to find a balance just like the rest of us. I have not found it. I'm still looking for it.
So I think we all are. I think we all are.
But I think that imbalance may be the reason why it's the charge that helps me generate the music.
Okay, we got another question.
I am really worried about your look. Look at that
See
look.
what this is. No, it's not personal. Darn it. I love when we get personal ones because then I don't have to ask them. Okay, this is Crystal's No Country. Crystal has no country. You have a great voice. Have you ever considered singing?
First of all, thank you. Thank you very much. No, I
Why?
I hate my singing voice.
Come on.
Maybe if I had started when I was a kid, who knows, maybe I would have been a good singer. But I remember when I was a kid, I was a horrible singer.
Did someone tell you when you were a kid that you were a horrible singer?
Not really, but I had good enough ears. Played the piano since I was 6 years old, and when I opened my mouth and I started singing, it was like, oops, stop that.
I don't believe you.
Right, it's the truth, and then the years go by, and to develop this instrument, it's just like everything else. You got to start young.
Okay, when you're putting together your music and there's no words, do you ever put words to it in your head? And then maybe sing it, or does that happen?
It's unnecessary. Words are people may find this strange because most people listen to songs, not compositions. I don't need words. I find words being a distraction.
But I loved Truth or Touch. I loved Secret.
You got that.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
I
once
liked
in a
it.
while it's fine. Once in a while it's fine. A good marriage of words with a great melody works. It's a proven combination, right?
Was that hard for you to put vocals on a CD?
Actually, no, not in that particular CD. You're talking.
Natural Trend.
Secret came from a CD called Voices, where I
Yeah.
worked with four. I call them my kids, four
Yeah,
singers.
I remember that.
And I did it on purpose to challenge me, to see, can I do this? How many songs can I do, and how far can I go? How can I get out of my skin and do something completely different? Because you learn, again.
See, so maybe we will hear you sing. Maybe.
Not me.
Just in the shower. Okay. Okay, this is Shirley from the USA. Does your creative process from today differ much from your creative process of years ago? And if yes, in what ways? He's like a baby. What are you talking about years ago? He was like 22. I guess, what are you, 27 now?
Thank you.
So, but does it differ? Well, it has to because of your experiences. You're wiser. You know more.
Well, first of all, the equipment, just this equipment, the change
I know,
in the
look
last
at this
20
equipment.
years.
It's unbelievable, by the way.
And you're only looking at maybe one millionth of what is there, because it's
Wow.
virtual. This is a virtual console. It can do amazing things, but again, it's a tool. It's like a paintbrush with a painter, a better paintbrush with maybe the painter gets extra amount of colors, but what you're gonna paint is everything. And that's your heart. That's not the equipment. The equipment can never overpower you.
No, the equipment and all the technology obviously has come so far, but the way you write music or the way you feel music is still, yep, it's right there. You can't change that. It
I
can't
hear
come
it.
out of a computer.
No, I hear it. I hear it in my mind. And most of the time I write in silence. I don't play the piano and kind of improvise and accidentally stumble across a melody and then I go, oh, that's kind of cute, let me work on it and make a song out of it accidentally. You cannot compose songs like Nostalgia or Santorini accidentally by jamming. It's not that type of music. It's the type of, you hear it, it plays. And because I have perfect pitch, the notes are specific. The notes are, a note, an A, for example, can only be an A. It cannot be a B or a C. So when I hear the note A, I don't really hear an A, I hear a La, because I'm trained in Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, Do.
Right.
So I can talk faster in music than I can talk in English. For example, I can, let's say, let's take the song Nostalgia. Here are some of the notes. Do, re, si, do, fa, do, re, si, do, fa, do, re, do, si, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, si, la, so, si, mi, fa, so, si, la, do, fa, sa, la, si, re, so, la, si, re, mi, sa, la, mi, la, re, do, si. Those are the notes that make part of the runs of the song. That's what I hear in my mind when I play music. I hear words. I don't hear just I don't hear a low and a high and a mid. It's a specific word.
It's a language.
That's what I've been trying to tell people for 35 years.
Yeah.
And it is the ultimate language.
But you never had, I'm sure all of your fans know, maybe some of them, you never had formal training, which it's just a natural gift.
It's actually, I was saved from not having formal training. My father and mother were intelligent enough to allow me not to take piano lessons. My brother was taking piano lessons. My sister was taking piano lessons. There was a piano in the house, and I just, for some reason, did not want anyone to show me how to play the piano. But I loved the piano, so I climbed on it when I was 6 years old, and I started banging on the keys. And the perfect pitch was not a gift. And I want to tell this to kids out there, it's something you develop. And I think there's a limit, an age limit, if I'm not mistaken, by the age of 9, if you don't have it. Highly unlikely you will develop it.
You can develop, by the age of 9, you can actually develop it.
Yes, and I didn't know if I actually was born with it or if I developed it. And now I know for sure, because I remember times where I tried to repeat songs that I heard on the radio, because back then we didn't have a turntable, we didn't have a tape recorder, so I was listening to shortwave radio.
We didn't have all the technology you guys have now.
If I liked a song and I wanted to hear it again, I had to play it. So that forced me. So when I heard the song on the radio, all of a sudden I started going, it's in A minor, and I would get it. And if I could memorize the melody, because I don't, again, I write music in my own little shorthand, but back then I couldn't even write it down. It forced me to develop my musical memory, which is very, very powerful nowadays, because it's like a muscle. You use it for 30 years, 40 years nonstop. It increases, just like a biocomputer.
Yeah, but just think if you had all of the technology that everyone has today, you may not have developed that. You wouldn't have had to.
Absolutely great observation. We wouldn't know. I don't know. I had such passion for music that I don't know if I would ever develop perfect pitch if I had a machine that said, oh, it's this.
And by the way, I just heard you sing a little bit. I think you're fine. Okay, this is Kevin Duffy when you were singing the music.
I wasn't singing.
Trust me, that was singing.
Busted.
See, got ya. Okay, Kevin Duffy, No Country. If I can read this, it'll be a miracle. Did your musical identify primarily evolve after Chameleon, or did you musical identity primarily evolve after Chameleon, or did you have grand musical visions prior to that time?
It's an awkwardly phrased question. Thank you very much, by the way. It's a very good question. Chameleon is a rock and roll band that I used to play with when I was a kid.
Okay.
And during that time, I had already started writing music. For example, some of the best music I've ever written was written before I even joined the band Chameleon. But back then, the music was called electronic. And if you were doing electronic music, when I was doing it, that was anathema. People didn't know what to do with it. They were going, what is that? Those are not real instruments.
Right?
What is that?
I remember that.
Yes.
Yep.
And then I started playing with Chameleon, but during the times of the drudgery of going, I kind of liked rock and roll, but we played all the time, nightclubs and everywhere, in the Midwest mostly. And that's where I learned a lot of how to be on stage, how to give concerts, how to produce music in the studio. I mean, it was a good training ground. However, during the times where I had time off between gigs, I would go in my little studio and I would compose this strange music, which we hear nowadays, like Santorini,
Right.
the song Santorini, you know. And I would never know what is that? What kind of music is that? It's in 7/8. First of all, American people didn't even know what a 7/8 was. You know, it didn't exist. The computers didn't exist. Even the new computers, when they came out, they didn't know what a 7/8 was. The song was written in 7/8. It's a type of rhythm that I use. It's very specific to me. I've created it. I've done quite a lot of music on that rhythm because it's flighty, And Santorini ended up being one of the most used songs I've ever done in my life. But it was written, I don't know, 25 years ago. I don't even want to say that. 2.5 years ago it was written.
That's good. I like 2.5. I knew I was there. 2.5 years ago, I could see that, yes. But isn't it fascinating that what you created then is still transforms into now?
Yes, it is. It is. It's the dream of any artist to create things that stay in time.
And you had a label for a long time, New Age. Remember, that was when they didn't quite know what to call it, New Age. But now there's so much music, different kinds of music coming in, and I think the label's kind of, it's still there, but it's kind of evolving a little bit.
Yeah, it became more acceptable, I think.
Right.
In the old days, when you heard the word New Age, it was more like crystals and essence, incense, and
Yes, I agree.
things like that.
And now it's much different.
Yeah, well, because kids are having computers, and the computers give them a lot of sounds to work with, ideas, and they play around. There's a lot of music that's being generated. Not necessarily all very good, but some is very good. I actually listen to things once in a while, and they're very impressive. So,
do you listen to a lot of other people's music?
Not very often. I mean, like right now when we go on tour, I will stop listening. If I'm composing, I definitely do not listen when I compose. It's completely clean. I don't want it to be influenced. I will be influenced whether I like it or not. Because once you hear something, once you feel something, it's inside you, it's going to influence you. But you don't want to be listening to albums the day before you try to write a song or you're into...
Of course.
Yeah,
I have to ask you, though, but you can answer after the break because we have to take another one. But if you have a favorite artist...
Okay.
Besides yourself, of course. Okay, another quick break, but up next, Yanni talks about, he's going to talk about a lot of things. I want to ask you a little bit more about your best-selling book that you have. Maybe just one or two questions, because we asked about it last time, but I'm going to ask you a few more. And we're just going to leave you with this video that you did of a live concert.